Okay, we're going to deal with Anti-Citizen and his historical Jesus analysis here, and how this is a philosophical failure of Christian apologists. Again, more YouTube atheist ignorance on full display. You know what, guys? We see this with TBS. We saw this with Venaloid. Um, with many others. I really don't think internet atheists, and especially YouTube atheists, really care about historical method or anything like that, and how historians deal with the sources of the New Testament and early Christianity. I really don't think they care about it. I think what they do is they go to guys like Bart Ehrman and they parrot that, or they parrot someone parroting that, or worse. And actually, this guy, Anti-Theist, is one of the more um, he's one of the less crazy ones. Okay, but he makes a lot of the same errors that they all make, and I really don't think they care about truth or reality or how historians deal with sources like that. I just think that they get this mash of information. They don't know anything about history, and they don't care. They haven't studied it in depth at all. What they do is they get this mash together, then they put it together like this, make it sound stupid, shake it up, make it sound stupid, confuse it all with these other religions, and it's the same. It's like the tactic of Religulous and Zeitgeist and all these others. It just it works well with other idiot atheists. That really works well with them, but with people that actually know and have studied the subject, it just it makes you just laughable. It's like utterly insane and just makes you be dismissed immediately with people that have studied the subject. So let's deal here with Anti-Theist and his dealing with the historical Jesus.
Who lives or dies on the historical reliability of Christ's ministry and resurrection as detailed by the New Testament accounts. Now, before offering any criticism, it's important to establish what exactly is being claimed here. Remember that the very core of all Christianity itself is the belief that, roughly 2,000 years ago, a half-blooded demigod.
Question: half-blooded demigod? Anti-theist is, anti-citizen. Is that what Christians believe? Again, example. You don't care. You really don't care. Straight up, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. Half-blooded demigod. Yeah, you know what, Anti-Citizen, whenever you ever deal with young earth creationists, I'm not a young earth creationist. Not a young earth creationist. When young earth creationists say things like, you believe that a parrot can lay an egg and give birth to a tiger, how does that make you feel, Anti-Citizen? You get frustrated? When you make stupid statements like this, it frustrates us that actually have studied Christian theology and history and things like that. You're just immediately you're out of the discussion of being rational at all completely. Let's keep moving on here.
Of a virgin woman was sent to Earth on a cosmic mission to atone for the sins of the entire universe as a form of ritual blood sacrifice to appease the perfect justice of his omnipotent Father God Self.
Father God Self. Is that what the Trinity teaches? You don't care. I don't think you care, but it sounds good to your atheist posse, doesn't it? It's just funny. Oh, he got him. Oh, yeah, you got him. You got those dumb Christians. Keep going on here.
He healed the sick, raised the dead, walked on water, turned water into wine, and spent his entire adult life preaching a message of divine salvation throughout ancient Judea. Then, 3 days after being crucified by Roman authorities, he rose from the dead and ascended to heaven in full celestial glory. That really is the ultimate pill you have to swallow in order to properly call yourself a Christian.
The ultimate pill. For a while there, I embraced agnostic naturalism, I would call it. You know the ultimate pill you have to swallow to believe an atheistic naturalist? Do you know what the pill, you know how actually atheistic naturalism refutes itself because you cannot affirm objective rational thought. Everything would be determined by physical cause and effect. That'd be it, but that's a whole nother philosophical objection that we're not going to deal with in depth here. But let's keep moving on here with this stuff.
However, it's also important to realize that stories like this are rampantly commonplace throughout human history. For example, Apollonius of Tyana, Zoroaster of Persia, Muhammad of Arabia,
Hi Zeitgeist, hi Religulous,
India,
Influence.
Joseph Smith of upstate New York are just a handful of similar prophetical figures to Jesus of Nazareth. All of them are recorded to have been divinely inspired leaders who taught messages of spiritual salvation and even performed miracles among their communities. So on one
Really? Did the early Muslims claim that Muhammad did miracles? They didn't. In the Quran, it says he didn't do a miracle. The only miracle is the Quran. But you don't really care about that, do you? You don't care about the differences between the groups. You don't. You just mesh them all together. Look at, they're all the same. And aren't these Christians stupid? They're just like you, just like believing in Apollonius of Tyranna, Apollonius, okay, Apollonius of Tyana. Okay, so let's keep going here.
Racist do Christians pretend to know that the supernatural stories contained within the Bible are legitimate historical events, as opposed to just another bunch of cultural myths, legends, and fairy tales? This is an important question to ask because the answer itself is almost embarrassing to say out loud. In short, the sum total of all evidence we have for any of the spiritual events described within the Bible is the Bible itself.
So I guess we can't use Tacitus, Suetonius, or any other Roman historians to talk about Roman history or the emperors. They even have miraculous stories in there about the emperors, anti-citizens. So we just toss them out because they're not reliable. You know, again, complete non sequitur parallels. Yes, we use the Christian sources to talk about Christianity. Okay, you're going to talk about they're not unbiased. Nobody's unbiased in history. Okay, let's stop this here. We're going to continue on in our second video.